Hello everyone, it's Scott and welcome back to another episode of Agrarian Skies 2. So, what I've been doing in between episodes is working on this New Horizons activity in the Thaumcraft under Thaumic Horizons. And what I'm doing is working my way up towards creating this, I don't even know what to call it. It's a node, it's a rift, I guess. And what we need to do is build transduction amplifiers. In fact, 4 transduction amplifiers and 6 vortex attenuators. Right, so I have been adding a lot of recipes to the ME system and transduction amplifiers. So I thought I had it working, but so far I think I have a few more parts I need to finish this redstone comparator here. Let's hop on down and finish that. Redstone comparator is fairly simple. There we go. Let's just make a formula just for completion's sake and lock that in. So I expanded the molecular assemblers a little bit. I added another row. Let's just grab a couple of those and let's head back up. So what I want to cover is let's start up. Let's make a couple of these. Having that same issue with, okay, redstone torches. Well, that's actually pretty. Redstone and sticks. I guess I never made a formula for that either. Let's just grab a stack and throw it in and try one last time. So transduction amplifier. Guess it wasn't quite as ready to start as I expected. So this is going to run through a pretty complicated formula, making void seeds and this planar conduit. I'm going to need to craft a lot more niter. Which will then eventually make a node transducer, which will make node stabilizers, and eventually work my way up to this amplifier. So in parallel, according to that book, I need to make 6 vortex attenuators. Oops. So, in order to do that, I've made some upgrades here to the infusion system. And not on top, but actually underneath. So, I have added a number of item ducts to each of the pedestals. So it turns out that you can pipe items in using automation from the bottom of a pedestal. And so what I did was I linked up each of the cardinal directions, left, right, diagonals, up, down, into these chests. And so what I've done is I've built some specialized 1x2 chests, since there's only 2 items that can go in. And in this case, I have the left and right chest. I'm going to drop in 1 amber and 1 planar conduit, and that'll get sucked into the piping network, and eventually here we see it pops out on top of the pedestal automatically. And so when that fills in, ta-da, I should be able to just simply right click to activate the runic matrix in in order to begin the infusion process. So this is going to help me speed up a bunch of the infusion recipes. So I just ended up loading up a stack of node stabilizers here in the primary center chest, and that's just going to work its way through and yeah, just make it easier to craft the infusion recipes without having to go in and micromanage and click each of these formulas. So I was quite proud of that. So in the meanwhile, let's activate that. I don't know why this keeps turning off when these nodes are actually quite empty. So are these V bars here should be filling up, because you can see that there's a lot of things that need to be manufactured here. Yeah, well, let's just let that run. So what I'm going to do is over here, I got another node in a jar as a quest reward, and what I'm going to do is surround it with the transducers and the stabilizers, and eventually work my way up towards cracking this into a node. Oh, I'm going to need to energize it. Okay, so I'm going to need to also build another stabilizer and a transducer here. Yeah, so this is going to be a little longer project for that to complete. And what I have here is a sanity checker. So when I hold this, you'll notice that there's a bar that appears in the upper left that's filled with purple, and that's the flux meter that shows how soon I am to going crazy thanks to Thaumcraft. So why do I care about that? Because when that bar fills up to the second gold line, that's when special effects go off and crazy things happen, and then you have a chance to randomly learn and unlock some of these Eldritch hidden advancements. So I've kind of gone as far as I can here in the yeah, this thing unlocked. I have no idea. Veil's been lifted, Eldritch Revelation. So it's supposed to be a step on the way towards unlocking the planar travel, but I really need to find a way to increase my flux. I never thought I'd heard that. Basically to since we are in a skyblock world and there's no easy way to go around and find tainted lands, a lot of the taint essence I'm actually very short on, so that's kind of unfortunate. So let me do a little bit more crafting, and then I should be ready to move forward with some more questing. Alright, so what I'd like to demo here is the quest delivery system. So what we need to do for some of the larger quests, like the ones in the For The Hoarding quest tree, is these start to request abnormally large amounts of resources. So what we need to do is pipe, there's more than we can manually detect by keeping the items in our inventory. So we need a way to feed them into the quest book. And so to do that, what we do is we go and we select the task here in the bottom right. And then what we need to do is build a quest delivery system block, which is just a quest book, some glass, and planks. So once we place it down, items can be pumped into the quest delivery system from any side. And what we do is we right-click the quest delivery system with the book that we've done the select task action on. And so that will lock this chest, this delivery block to that quest. And so what I've done is I've hooked a chest into the ME system through an export bus, and I've also made a couple of formulas. So a sliver of water is just a normal water shard broken down with a tiny bit of Perditio. And what I'm going to do is just get that quest rolling. So we know that the assembly, the arcane assembler blocks here will tap any kind of V that's piped into it. So let's get the sliver of water. What we're going to do is we're going to make 1,000 of it. So it's going to break down 200 water shards, 250 water shards, and pipe them all through this arcane assembler. So in theory, yep, so this is going to eat down quite a bit of Perditio. I might just have to leave this running. And is it even charging? That's a good question. So let's grab a wand. I'm not sure if I have a good link or not. This thing has just been kind of acting up. I don't know if this is a visual issue or not. Let me take a quick break. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. It was a just a visual issue where the path of the relay wasn't drawn correctly. So if I come down and I hook this up again, so it's going to start drawing the blue, the Perditio V right back out of the system. So you can see that this is now charging up. Let's see if that probably screwed up my recipe. How many was I up to? I'm up to 800. Okay, so let's make 200 more. So, yep, those are going to break down here. Okay, and that should be enough. Sliver. So I now have 1,000 sliver of water. So let's head over to the quest delivery system block. Actually, from this, technically this export bus, and I'm going to add the sliver of water to the bus, which should start to export them in bulk here to the chest. The chest will then tap slivers of water down into the delivery system. Therefore, I should be able to check in for the hoarding. Okay, and so here we see how the block is counting up. That's pretty slow. In fact, it's kind of undesirably slow. So let's see if I can fix that. So let's grab some purple. Let's grab some export buses. Let's grab some acceleration cards. And let's see how this works. Toot, 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 toot. So I'm going to move all these back into the ME system. Up, I'm going to take this out. So in theory, these should all be feeding in through the quest delivery block. And let's get back to our accelerator cards. And we now see that it's quite rapidly delivered almost all the slivers. Alright, so let's dump the last bits in. And done. Sliver of water 1000. Claim reward. Alright, so the next quest I want to tackle is blue, which is 1000 pieces of cyanite ingots. So the way to make the cyanite ingots is you can either let them burn down as a byproduct in the big reactor by burning yellorium ingots, or you can do a direct conversion of yellorium plus sand to make the cyanite ingots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go that route. So I've been burning down a lot of yellorium. So what I'm going to do is just set up the pattern. So I have certainly enough sand at 62,000. So this is going to make a bar of cyanite. Let's throw it in the ME system. I think I may have a problem with the ME system. No, I think it's okay. Well, I'll have to double check. Things might be offline in a weird way, but let's now that I have that formula and the material, let's start crafting. Whoops. Yeah, that's right. That's just a straight shapeless crafting. Alright, so cyanite will make 1000. Boop. And I don't know what this is. Let's cancel it. So I have quite a bit scheduled. Yep. Okay. So that's going to work its way down as all the items are processed. So let's grab one bar and start the transfer process. So, quest book, select task, right click, hide bound the blue. Let's start loading it up. So there we go. I have almost 500. Yep, so just as fast as it's being produced, I'm loading it into the questing system. Let's throw this guy back in. And why am I hearing spiders? Alright, I don't see them. Oh, no, here you are. Okay, spiders. Oh, okay. Because there's a little bit of exposed surface here. Okay, so back to the quest book. We've now piped in 1,000 cyanite ingots, and in return we get another legendary reward bag. So next, the next thing I was working on was cobble. So in order to make this task, I need quadruple compressed cobble. Well, guess what? Down here in my compression area, I'm actually up to... I had to stop it. I'm at 1 octuple compressed cobblestone and 6 septuple compressed cobblestone. So that's just pretty ridiculous. So let's grab a single quintuple and break that down into the quadruple compressed cobblestone. So it says I need to make 4 of them. Okay. Let's try this. 2, 3, 4. And then we will just combine them back up again in a normal block. And oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just totally missing it. Quadruple compress, manual submit, done. Claim reward, done. So purity, pure Certus quartz. That I can actually make. This one will be a much longer running recipe. I'll need to burn down 1,000 Certus quartz seeds and another 500 sand. So that's probably going to run for a while. BNA I don't really have a way to get at the moment. Chocolate milk, I'm going to need to use Thaumcraft to make a chocolate cow. Megaris, I'll work through the farm ingredients in between episodes. Solar Fun, I need to make 300 solar panels. Well, I have the formulas for that already. So, 300 solar panels are just going to need oak, sand, silver, redstone, blah blah blah, of which I have enough. So this is already 3/4 of the way done through crafting the pure Certus quartz. Okay. And the last item that's interesting is the cherry on top. So what I need to do is make 100 cherry cheesecakes, and for this I prepped by finally making use of the production table, so Steve's workshop. So I watched the video so I could understand how this thing works, and so what I found is that in the upgrades area, this is where I need to put the crafting table and all the upgrades in order for the main section to actually turn into a functional work block. So what I did was I set up a formula here for my mixing bowl and milk. The heavy will produce heavy cream. Wheat and a mortar will produce flour. And all together, the cheesecake is going to need bakeware, flour, sugar, which I have a lot from the mob drops, as I do eggs from the chicken farming. And so the last thing is that all these will be combined together in another workshop with the bakeware to produce cheesecake. And so the last thing I need for 100 cherry cheesecakes are cherries. And so to make that, well, I bought a couple of cherry trees from Pam's Harvest Crafts Market. And the last thing I need to do then is to gather the last of the cherries. So I set up a couple more fruit pickers. I wasn't sure if it was actually working correctly, but it seems like it is. So I planted a couple more cherry trees. Okay, as I was saying, I can just take bone meal and smack the cherries. And if I repeatedly smack the cherries, it's actually going to drop cherries into my inventory. So I can just basically burn through this whole stack very quickly. Load these back into the ME system, 55 cherries, and therefore I can make my cherry cheesecake, which hopefully, let's see how this works. So the buckets of milk will become fresh milk. The fresh milk will combine with the sugar and the flour. So the flour is being produced right now. Let's take a peek. So once I put the auto crafter and the storage upgrades, what that did was open up this block at the bottom. Our auto crafter will feed items from this storage area and basically burn down material. In this case, I'm burning down coal to power the execution process. So it's eaten all the raw materials. All it has to do now is pump out the proper output products, and so through the transfer window, this is where we set up that the bottom side is going to transfer back into the ME system. The top side is where all the inputs go. And if I go to select node, we can see specifically that the top is whitelisting to the left, upper left channel, and that the top is whitelisting to the upper right. And that's how I keep the items from not crisscrossing here. So let's take a look at our progress. Alright, so while that's running, let's get back to the pure Certus quartz. So we now have 1,000 pure Certus quartz items. So let's load that back up in the quest reward system. Okay, so select task, right click, oh no, I messed that up, didn't I? Alright, let that be a lesson for you. So I set up the export buses before I click to activate the quest. Well, anything pumped into a quest delivery system before it's ready goes into the void. So I just lost 900 pure Certus quartz, but that stinks. But I'm just going to whip it up again. So alright, this should finish off the pure Certus quartz. And done. Claim reward. Let's get these out of the export buses. So, checking in again. Looks like the solar panels just finished. So let's make sure I set that up as the active quest first. Alright, and here we can see I'm finally up at 300 panels and done. So let's clear this. And it looks like the the cherry cheesecakes are complete with 100. So let's grab those in the inventory and manual submit. Done. Alright, so that should cover everything I want to do today in this episode. So if you could, please leave a comment or a like. I think I made some pretty good progress in the book. So next time I think I'm going to focus on Botania and try to work through that quest tree. So with that, I will see you next time on Agrarian Skies 2. Bye!